Normally I'd have the sermon recorded and uploaded by this time, but we have been blessed with the Rona, or the coronavirus, or the COVID, whatever you want to call it. It's a part of our house right now. In the last few days, I have been a tad bit delirious, so I haven't been able to record. It's Sunday afternoon, and I am hiding in my son's room. Maybe you can see by the backdrop. And I have the door locked. The kids are still trying to talk to me through the monitor system, but I think they'll stay off for a few minutes. It is Christmas, and it's cold outside, and now we're trapped in the house. What are we going to do? We're going to make it. We'll be fine. But it is Christmas, and we're going to spend just a few minutes talking about the Christmas story of Christ's birth. We're in Matthew chapter 2, which is where we were last week, when we saw that the Magi, or the wise men, that's what the word Magi means, is wise. Think magician, magistrate. They came and they found the king of that area, Herod, and they asked him what to do. Last week we talked about the fact that the Magi were from a faraway place, and they were aware that God was doing something, but the people who were in Jerusalem, the place where it was happening, didn't even know. So we need to be aware of what God is doing around us. Take time to look up and see what God's doing. Well, this week we're going to spend a minute talking about Herod, the king that they went and asked for direction. We're going to see Herod, how he responded to the news that God had sent the Messiah, and it was close to him where it had happened. I don't know if you've ever watched little kids play, but I've noticed a number of times that you can have a little toddler playing with a toy and be perfectly content, and then find a new toy and give it to a toddler close to him, and all of a sudden that toy that made him happy no longer makes him happy. He wants the new toy that his friend just got, and he'll throw a fit sometimes, and if he's small enough, he might just go try and take it from the other kid. It's contentment until you see something else that somebody else has, and then you want it, and it makes you crazy. Well, as a 2-year-old, or maybe a 1-year-old, you think you're going to go crazy if you don't have it. We're going to see that same behavior in Herod, and I'll explain that in just a few minutes. But first, let's read what Herod does after he found out that the Messiah was born close to him. So in Matthew chapter 2, we're going to read verses 7 through 12. Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen when it rose went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. Now what happened after this, after the Magi fled because they were warned in a dream, is Herod found out that they escaped, and then he went and had all of the children in Bethlehem that were 2 years old and younger killed. Herod asked the Magi to report back to him. He did this in secret because he didn't want the Messiah to live. Bethlehem wasn't a very big place, and sometimes we might depict that slaughter of the children as this huge event. There probably weren't a whole lot of 2-year-olds, so Herod was probably pretty sure that he could handle the situation. Any child's life matters, even one. But in his mind, he probably thought, this is simple, I'll take care of it. Why did Herod do this? Well, Herod had a problem. He was power hungry. He was actually born, he was part Jewish when he was born, and rose to power. He worked himself up through the ranks. And at the time that this takes place, he had been given dominion over this Jewish territory and had given himself the title King of the Jews. He didn't like his power to be threatened. He didn't like anyone to come in and challenge his power. And if he saw something that he wanted and someone or something was in his way, he would eliminate them. He did this to family members. If he felt threatened by them, he eliminated family members. His wife and son that he was married to and he fathered, they were fine until he saw another woman who he decided he wanted more. So then he banished or exiled his wife and son so that he could have this new wife and the other two wouldn't get in his way. That's the type of man Herod was. So when he found out that the Messiah was born, he felt threatened because he wanted the power. And when he heard that someone else was coming along that might have something more than he had, like the authority of God, he wanted to get that person out of the way. That's the way Herod was. He couldn't be happy with the position he was given and with the responsibility he had. Whenever he saw someone that challenged him or saw someone that had what he wanted, he tried to eliminate them. That's why it's so interesting that Herod, who was called King of the Jews at the time, he died right after this happened, trying to kill the legitimate King of the Jews, but he didn't succeed. Now, none of us probably spend our days plotting to kill people who get in our way, but it is that time of year when we turn our attention from thinking about how grateful we are to have what we have. That's the season we just came through. We just came through Thanksgiving, where some people spend the entire month listing things that they're thankful for. And then as soon as Thanksgiving is over, even the day after, it's not even the day after anymore. I was getting Black Friday advertisements on Thanksgiving Day, like, come shop now. As soon as Thanksgiving is over, we're told that our attention should turn to getting what we want, the new whatever it is, because we deserve it. We've worked hard. It's good for us. Haven't we waited long enough? Everybody else is getting it. Don't you want to keep up? Those are the messages we get during this time of the year. And as weird as it may sound, those are the same voices that I believe rolled around in Herod's head. What you have isn't good enough. Somebody else may have something better. So be jealous and do whatever you need to do to go get it. Now, we're not going to set out and try to kill people, and we might not even be scheming and deceitful like that, but we still have that temptation to take our focus off of what God has already given us and be thankful for that, and turn our attention to what it appears that other people may have. And there are some legitimate times where God's working in other people's life, and God is blessing other people, and He's doing something great. And we might have the temptation to look at them with jealousy and say, how can I turn God's attention away from them to me? So God will bless me instead, because I want the stuff. I want the things that they're getting. And my hope during this Christmas season is that we won't spend our time trying to get what other people have, or even get what God has given other people. During this Christmas season, I hope that we can take time to see where God is at work, to see what God is doing, and then be thankful that God has allowed us to see what He's doing. That'll be a good time to stop and worship Him. Herod sent the Magi to go find out. When we hear what God is doing and we see what He's doing, rather than expecting somebody else to go do the work for us, it would be good for us to stop, take the time and worship God and tell Him thank you for letting us be part of what He's doing. Don't send somebody else to do the work that God has shown us. We get to do it ourselves. During this Christmas season, continue to be thankful for what God is doing in your life, and continue to turn your attention to God's plan. Take it off of your own plan, but trust that God is at work. He knows what's best. He'll give us what we need. What we need the most is for the Messiah to be present in our lives so we can worship Him and we can be part of what He's doing. I hope you have a good Christmas week, and if you get bored, just remember to be thankful that you're not locked in your house for the next 10 days. Not a pity party. I don't mean that as a pity party, but there are plenty of reasons to be thankful. I'm just trying to give you another one. Till next week, hope you have a good time.